Keller did not know that his arrival was being watched long before his ship entered human territory. To him, this was only a diplomatic visit, another peaceful exchange between the human empire and the scattered alien nations of the Outer Rim. But to the humans, this visit was far more than formal greetings. It was the start of a mission so secret that only 5 people in the entire empire knew its true purpose, and none of them planned to tell Keller the truth. As his shuttle glided toward the massive human research station, Keller stared out at the glowing rings that circled it. The structure looked calm, silent, almost peaceful. He did not know that inside those walls, human scientists, officers, and strategists had already spent months preparing for him. Every hallway, every door, every guard was arranged for one purpose: to keep him close. Keller believed he was a guest. The Empire believed he was their final hope. When the shuttle docked, a welcoming team stood waiting. Their uniforms were crisp, their faces polite, but their eyes studied him too sharply. He felt a strange tension in the air, but he ignored it. Humans were always intense, always focused. It was just their nature, he told himself. Commander Mira Dane stepped forward to greet him. She looked calm, almost warm, but inside her mind ran a calculation sharper than any blade. She had trained herself to smile, to sound friendly, to appear trustworthy. She had practiced this moment in front of screens, recordings, and even psychologists. "Keller," she said smoothly, "welcome to Station Astronine. We are honored to have you." Her voice held the perfect balance of respect and control. Too perfect. Keller bowed politely. "The honor is mine, Commander. I hope my visit strengthens our cooperation." Mira smiled, but the smile did not reach her eyes. "Our cooperation," she replied softly, "is more important than you know." Keller didn't understand what she meant. He assumed it was just diplomacy. But the words carried a hidden weight, a shadow he couldn't see. As he walked beside her through the station, he noticed small things that felt off. 2 guards followed him at a distance, not close, but close enough that he could feel their presence. Hallway doors slid open before he reached them, as if someone monitored his location carefully. Human scientists walked by and whispered to each other, their voices tight, nervous. Why were they watching him like this? He tried to dismiss the feeling. Maybe humans were simply curious about his species. Maybe they were being cautious. Maybe no, something else was happening here. Myra guided him into a bright, polished observation deck overlooking deep space. Planets glowed far away like sparks in black water. Stars drifted in slow motion. It should have felt peaceful, but the silence in the room felt heavy. Kale spoke first. "Commander, is everything all right? Your people seem tense." Myra paused, her mind raced. She could not tell him the truth, not yet. He wasn't ready, and neither was the mission. "It is only a precaution," she said calmly. "The Empire has many enemies. Security is always strict." It was a lie, but a skilled one. Keller nodded, pretending to accept the answer, though doubt remained. He sensed that Mira was hiding something. Humans often hid things, but this was different. Meanwhile, behind the observation deck wall, 2 scientists whispered urgently, "Does he know anything yet?" "No, but we cannot slip. If he realizes the plan before Phase 1 begins, everything collapses." "What about Commander Mira?" Has she told him? "She won't, not until the order is given. For now, he must stay unaware." Unaware of what? Unaware that his biology held the key to the survival of the human empire. Unaware that humans needed him not as an ally, but as a genetic foundation for their future. Unaware that the Mission Council had already decided Keller would father the next generation of enhanced human children, and he would never be allowed to leave until he agreed. Back in the observation deck, Keller looked again at Mira. Something in her eyes troubled him. Something controlled, something determined. He realized she wasn't just a station commander. She was a strategist. a protector, and possibly a threat. He opened his mouth to ask a deeper question, but before he could speak, Myra's communicator beeped. A cold voice came through. "Commander, initiate Phase 1. He must not suspect anything." Keller's heart froze. Myra turned to him with a gentle smile. "Shall we begin your tour?" She asked, but her eyes whispered a different truth. The mission had already begun. Keller followed Commander Myra through the long, bright corridors of Astra. 9 with a quiet sense of rising unease. Every step echoed with a strange rhythm that felt planned and controlled, as if the station itself watched him through hidden eyes. The humans around him moved with a sharp purpose that did not match their polite smiles and gentle voices. Their expressions seemed practiced, almost rehearsed, as if every meeting with him was part of a larger operation Myra walked beside him with the calm confidence of a leader who understood every detail of the mission. Her movements never hesitated, and her gaze never drifted away from her goal. Yet beneath her calm surface, a storm hid in silence. The human empire had placed an impossible weight upon her, and she was determined to carry it without trembling. Keller sensed this unspoken pressure, but he did not know its cause. Not yet. They reached a large circular chamber filled with holographic displays that floated in the air. Strange symbols and shifting genetic patterns glowed around the room. Keller paused for a moment, feeling a faint pulse of energy around him, as if the station reacted to his presence. Myra gave him a welcoming gesture. "This is our research nexus. We study biology, technology, and long-term survival strategies here." Her voice stayed steady, but Keller noticed something in her eyes. A flicker of hope mixed with fear, a deep secret hiding behind every word. Researchers looked up as he entered. Some eyes widened slightly, others narrowed with intense focus. They whispered quietly. He caught fragments of speech rising and fading around him. "Is this really him? Look at the readings. We must confirm the final sequence." Keller approached a glowing console and watched a hologram forming in the air. To his shock, it showed a model of his own genetic structure, a level of detail no human should have without permission. His heart tightened as he stepped backward. Myra noticed his reaction, but she spoke gently. "Your biology is extraordinary, Keller. We believe that together we can achieve something powerful for both our species." Keller frowned. "I did not provide any samples yet." "How did you create this model?" Myra held his gaze for a long moment. She knew this question would come. She knew the truth was far from simple. She also knew the mission could not be revealed too early. "Your people shared limited biological data during past treaties," she said. "We expanded the analysis for research purposes." Keller felt the unease grow stronger. Humans had always been ambitious, but this level of preparation felt too deep, too intentional, too personal. He looked around the room again. Every scientist focused on him. Not one looked away, as if he was the center of a plan. None of them dared to question. Before he could speak again, a door slid open at the back of the chamber. 2 high-ranking officers entered wearing dark armor marked with the emblem of the human empire. Their presence shifted the entire room. Every researcher straightened. Myra herself stiffened slightly, though she tried to hide it. The taller officer stepped forward. His voice was steady and powerful. "Commander Myra, report is the subject stable?" Keller felt cold. "Subject." The word struck him like a blade. He turned to Myra. "I am a guest. Why am I being called a subject?" Myra stepped forward with a calm, steady expression. "Please, not here. Let us speak privately." But the officer continued. His tone held no warmth. "The Empire has chosen him. He is the priority. We cannot risk." Keller stared at them. "Chosen for what? What risk? What plan?" Myra raised a hand, her voice firm. "I will handle this. Stand down." The officers stepped back, but the air remained tense. Keller felt surrounded by truths he could not yet see, but could feel pressing against him like invisible walls. Myra turned toward him and spoke quietly. "Keller, you are important to us. More important than you can imagine. But you must trust me. I will explain when the time is right." Her words held sincerity, but also a deep shadow, a shadow of necessity, a shadow of mission. Keller felt a choice forming inside him. trust her or confront her, before he could decide. Mira leaned closer and whispered only for him, "The Empire depends on you. We need you. Please do not fear us." But fear already had its place, and he knew this was only the beginning. Keller walked beside Mira through another quiet corridor of Astra, 9 feeling more uncertain with each step. The station lights glowed softly, yet every corner seemed to hold a shadow that whispered of secrets not meant for him. He had come expecting diplomacy and cooperation. Instead, he found a world of silent watchers, controlled pathways, and voices that spoke about him as if he were a tool rather than a guest. Mira led him into a smaller room filled with soft blue light, the walls displayed moving patterns of human genetic lines, shifting and blending in long luminous streams. Keller stared at them with rising confusion. He felt as if the room held answers while also hiding truths behind carefully arranged images. Mira remained near the entrance, her hands clasped in front of her as she watched him study the glowing patterns. Her expression revealed nothing, yet Keller sensed a weight inside her mind, a pressure she tried to hide behind discipline and duty. He stepped closer to the floating patterns. "These strands are human, but they are unstable, damaged. What is happening to your species?" Commander Mira inhaled slowly and stepped forward. Her voice carried both strength and sorrow. "The human empire faces a crisis, one that has been kept secret for many generations. Our genetic stability is collapsing. The number of healthy births falls each year. Our future grows smaller while our enemies grow stronger." Keller turned to her. "Then why am I here? What do these patterns have to do with me?" Before Mira could answer, several researchers entered the room. Their faces showed quiet urgency. One held a device that projected another hologram of Keller, this one more detailed, more precise, a full representation of his potential. As if they had studied him long before he arrived, the lead researcher spoke without hesitation. "His genetic signature matches the projection. He aligns with 98% accuracy. If the plan succeeds, humanity may regain long-term survival." Keller felt something cold spread through him. Plan, projection, survival. All these words surrounded him like a closing net. Mira stepped between Keller and the researchers, her tone sharpened. "You will speak only when necessary. He is not ready for the full explanation." But the researcher insisted. "Time is running out. Commander, every delay puts the Empire at risk. He must be prepared for Phase 2. Keller raised his voice. "No more half-truths. What is Phase 2? Why are you preparing something that includes me without my knowledge?" Mira faced him with steady eyes, her internal conflict clear. "Keller, I want to explain. But there is protocol. There is timing. If you learn too quickly, you may react in ways that endanger the mission and yourself." Keller felt anger rising now. "I am not a subject. I am not a tool. If you wish cooperation, then you must offer truth." Mira did not look away. Her voice softened. "You are right, and you deserve honesty, but not here, not now." With every ear listening, she gestured for the researchers to leave. They exchanged uncertain looks and stepped out quietly. The door sealed behind them with a gentle hum. Mira then turned back to Keller. Her shoulders lowered, her voice held a rare crack of vulnerability. "You were not chosen by accident. Your biology aligns perfectly with a path that could preserve and strengthen the human empire. Your species carries traits humans have long lost, traits essential for survival, traits we cannot recreate." Keller stared at her in shock. He felt the weight of her words press against his chest. "So this is why you brought me here. This is why your people follow me, watch me, whisper about me." Mira nodded slowly. "The Empire believes you can help us rebuild what we have lost, but they fear that if you know too soon, you will refuse or flee or fight." Keller stepped back, his pulse rising. "And what if I do refuse?" Mira held his gaze. "Then the Empire will face its end, and you will face consequences you cannot imagine, not because I wish harm, but because the Council will not allow their final hope to escape." The room felt colder. Now Keller saw clearly that humans did not simply want his help. They needed it with a desperation that bordered on obsession. He was not a visitor. He was a target. Mira took one quiet step toward him, her voice low. "Keller, I do not want you to fear us. I want you to understand us. Give me time. I will show you a path that protects you and saves us." But another voice echoed from the hallway, sharp, urgent, and firm. "Initiate. Containment Phase 1 begins now." Keller felt the world shift around him. The plan hidden in shadows was no longer hidden, it had begun. Keller felt the air shift as alarms hummed through the walls of Astra 9. The sound was soft, yet filled with a force that made every step feel heavier. "Containment Phase 1. Those words echoed inside his mind like a storm growing without warning. Myra moved quickly now, her calm control replaced by a sharp urgency that she tried, but failed to hide. She gripped his arm, gently guiding him toward a secured hallway. Her voice low and steady. "Keller, stay close to me. Please do not run. If you run, the protocols activate, and nothing will be able to stop them." Keller jerked his arm away. "Why are you doing this? Why do your people treat me like a prisoner disguised as a guest?" Myra paused, her eyes filled with a silent struggle. "Keller, this was never meant to be a prison, but the Empire cannot risk losing you. Not now, not ever." He stepped back, his heart pounding. The corridor lights dimmed and brightened in slow waves, as if the station itself breathed. 2 armored guards appeared from the shadows, their weapons held down but their stance ready. Their eyes followed Keller with precision that made the hairs on his neck rise. Myra raised a hand to them. "Stand down, he is under my protection." They followed orders, but did not relax. Their tension felt like a tight rope stretched between fear and duty. Keller faced Myra again. "Tell me the truth. Tell me why I am here. What you want from me. What is this Phase 1 your people keep whispering about?" Myra opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. The words that should have come easily refused to form. Duty chained her, fear restrained her, yet something deeper pushed her to speak. "Allure. The Empire cannot survive another century. Our children weaken with each generation. Our blood loses strength. Our bodies lose resilience. Our future fades like light falling behind a dying star." Keller listened with growing confusion and anger. "But what does that have to do with me?" Myra looked away, her voice soft. "Everything." Before she could continue, a voice spoke from behind the guards. A high-ranking officer stepped forward. Tall, strong, unshaken, he carried the authority of someone who believed the Empire itself stood behind every breath he took. "Commander Myra, you have delayed enough. The subject must be taken to isolation. Wing B, the Council demands immediate compliance." Keller felt a cold wave rise inside him. "Isolation. Subject." Council. He took a step back. "No, I came here for peace. I came here willing to help. But you treat me like a captured creature, not a living being with dignity." Officer lifted his hand, signaling the guards. They moved forward slowly, their steps synchronized, their expressions emotionless. Myra stepped in front of them, her posture firm. "You will not touch him. I will escort him. I will handle the briefing. I will take full responsibility." The officer stared at her. "Your emotions cloud your judgment, Commander. The Empire cannot afford weakness. He must be secured for the procedure." Keller felt heat rise in his chest. "Procedure? What procedure? What are you planning for me?" Myra turned to him, her eyes pleading. "Keller, this is not the place to ask. Let me take you somewhere safe, somewhere the truth can be told without force." But the officer interrupted again. "No more delays. The Council decided long ago. The subject is essential for our genetic future. His cooperation is optional." Keller felt the last thread of trust begin to break. Anger and fear twisted inside him. "I am not your experiment. I am not your breeding tool. I will not be forced into anything." Officer motioned again. "Restrain him." The guards stepped forward. Myra moved faster. She placed herself between them, and Keller, her voice rising for the first time, "I said stand down. If you move another step, I will file a command override. I will not let you harm him." Silence froze the hallway. Every guard stayed still. Every light hummed. Even the air itself seemed to wait. Keller stared at her. "Why are you protecting me? Why fight your own people for me?" Myra breathed deeply. "Because I believe you deserve choice. And the Empire has forgotten what choice means." She reached for him gently. "Come with me, or they will take you by force. I cannot stop them twice." Keller hesitated, fear on one side, Mira on the other. Neither safe. Both uncertain yet, he stepped toward her, not because he trusted her, but because she was the only one who treated him as something more than a tool. Myra turned and led him into a darker hallway, her voice barely a whisper. Keller, what happens next will change everything. And behind them, the guards watched, waiting for the moment she failed. Mira guided Keller through a series of narrow service corridors, hidden behind the main structure of Astra 9. The walls vibrated with distant engines and the soft hum of reactors, yet the deeper they walked, the more isolated the station felt, as if they were stepping away from the living parts of the Empire and into a quiet zone where truths hid, waiting to be spoken. Keller walked behind her with tense steps. Fear and anger twisted inside him. Every unanswered question grew sharper and heavier. Mira had defended him, yet she had also kept him in the dark. He no longer knew if she was a protector or the gentlest part of the trap. They entered a small observation room where the stars stretched wide through a glass wall. No guards, no researchers. Only stillness. Mira closed the door behind them and faced him with an expression filled with conflict. Keller, I cannot hide the truth any longer. You deserve to know everything. He took a slow breath, his voice firm. Then tell me, why does the Empire want me? Why do they call me subject? Why do they fear losing me? Myra stepped closer, her voice heavy with sorrow. Keller, humanity is dying, not through war or famine or plague, but through our own biology. Generations of survival in harsh worlds, radiation exposure, extreme adaptation, and constant conflict have damaged us. Our genetic code breaks more each century, and no treatment has been able to repair it. She activated a soft hologram in the air. It showed human children, some strong, some weak, some fading. The image pulsed with quiet pain. Our future collapses, Mira continued. Birth rates fall, lifespans shorten, strength fades every year, more children fail to survive. We have tried everything. Science, technology, interspecies research. Nothing has restored the stability we once had. Keller watched the hologram, unsure how to respond. The loss he saw carried real weight, real suffering. But what does this have to do with me? Why choose me of all beings? Myra hesitated. This part of the truth struck deeper than the rest. Your species carries traits that humans once possessed: endurance, adaptive potential, genetic flexibility. Your biology holds exactly what our models show we need to heal our damaged code. You are not just compatible, you are the only confirmed match. Keller felt his breath tighten. The only match chosen, not for friendship, not for diplomacy, but for breeding. His voice trembled with disbelief. So the Empire wants me to father children for you, to become a source of genetic strength, without my agreement, without my knowledge? Myra lowered her gaze. Yes, the single word carried sadness and truth. She had fought to delay this moment, but the mission towered above every moral hesitation. She held. Keller stepped away from her, his chest heavy, his mind shaking. Everything he feared was real. He had been brought here not as a partner, but as a resource, a living vessel for their survival. Why did you not tell me earlier? He asked. Why wait until guards chased me through your halls? Mira lifted her eyes. Because the Council believed you would refuse, and refusal would end all hope. They wanted to secure you before speaking of the plan. Keller shook his head. You speak of hope for humanity. But where is my choice, my freedom, my dignity? Mira stepped toward him, her voice breaking. Keller, I never wanted this forced path. But I serve the Empire, and the Empire believes it has no other road left. Billions of lives depend on this mission. I am torn between duty and conscience, between my loyalty and your right to choose your own path. Keller stared at the stars through the glass. The universe had never felt so wide or so cold. He asked quietly, what would happen if I refused? Now that I know the truth. Myra closed her eyes. The Council would place you under permanent containment. They would continue the mission without your cooperation. Your refusal would not free you. It would only make their methods harsher. Keller felt a deep chill. He was trapped. Either he agreed, or he became a prisoner, his life no longer his own. Mira spoke again, her voice softer. Keller, I am not asking you to decide now. I only ask you to understand why this mission exists. You are not our enemy. You are our last hope. The only bridge between survival and extinction. Kaler met her gaze. He saw sincerity, desperation, and something else. A quiet guilt that weighed heavier than metal. I understand your need, he said. But understanding does not erase betrayal. Mira lowered her head. I know. Silence settled between them. A silence filled with pain and impossible choices. Then a sudden voice echoed through the intercom, sharp, cold, and unyielding. Unauthorized meeting detected. Commander Mira, surrender the subject. Phase 2 begins immediately. Keller stepped back, fear rising again. Mira turned toward him with fierce determination. Keller, you must trust me one more time. If the Council takes control now, your fate will be sealed forever. Her eyes burned with urgency. We have one chance left. Warning. Lights flashed through the ceiling panels, painting the corridor in deep red as Mira grabbed Keller by the wrist and pulled him into motion. Voices echoed through the station from every direction. Orders were shouted. Doors locked. Security fields activated. The station had shifted from quiet tension to full alert. Keller felt his pulse hammering as they ran. The floor vibrated beneath him. He heard distant explosions. He sensed fear and conflict rising through the entire human outpost. Whatever Phase 2 meant, it was already happening, and he was trapped inside it. Mira guided him down a narrow maintenance tunnel, her breath heavy, her steps urgent. She spoke without looking back. Keller, listen to me. The Council believes that if you refuse cooperation, then you must be forced into compliance. But something worse has begun. An enemy faction has discovered you are here. They want to take you. They want to use your biology for themselves. Keller felt a fresh wave of shock. So I am hunted, not only by your empire, but by your enemies as well. Mira nodded. We are no longer the only ones who know your importance. Other powers want to claim the value you hold. If they take you, humanity will fall completely, and the galaxy may follow. Keller struggled to understand this rising storm around him. He had never asked for this fate. He had never wanted to become a weapon, a resource, or a symbol of survival. They reached a sealed bulkhead. Mira placed her hand on a scanner and the heavy door lifted slowly. The tunnel ahead stretched into darkness, lit only by faint silver lines on the floor. Keller hesitated. Is this another trap? Another room to hold me? Mira turned to him with a stern yet honest expression. If I wish to contain you, I would not be running with you. This is the escape route, used only in emergencies. And Keller, this is an emergency larger than you imagine. As they entered the dark passage, the ceiling shook with distant impacts. A shiver ran through the metal walls. Something powerful had docked with the station. Keller could feel it, like a predator stepping into a peaceful field. Mira pushed forward, her voice steady. The enemy faction is called the Dominion of Helix. They have wanted our genetic collapse to continue for generations. If they secure your biology, they will destroy the balance of the galaxy. They may even control entire species with engineered chains of dependence. Keller stopped in the middle of the tunnel. His chest felt tight. So no matter what I choose, some force will try to claim me. Mira turned back, her voice softer. Yes, but I promise you this. I will not let them take you. Not as long as I am alive. A sudden blast shook the tunnel, and dust drifted down from above. Mira pushed Keller against the wall, covering him with her body. As the vibrations rolled through the metal, he whispered, your station is under attack because of me. Mira answered without fear. The Empire has faced worse and survived. This is what we do. We fight for what we must protect. When the shaking ended, they moved deeper into the tunnel until they reached a small, secure chamber. Inside was a table filled with maps and tactical displays. A tactical officer waited there, wearing a deep blue uniform. He bowed quickly. Commander Mira, the Dominion forces breached the outer ring. They are scanning for a single biosignature. The signature matches the subject. Keller stepped back as the officer turned to him. The stare was intense, focused strategically. Must move him to the core. Shield immediately. Myra raised a hand. No, not until I brief him. He must understand the choice he faces. The officer frowned but obeyed. He left the chamber through another exit. As Mira closed the door, Keller swallowed hard. Tell me what choice Myra stepped forward, her eyes fierce and full of burden. Keller, you can help us by joining our survival project. If you choose to do so willingly, you will shape the future of humanity, and you will be honored, protected, and given full freedom within the Empire. She paused, her voice lowering. Or you can refuse, and the Council will still take what they need, and the Dominion will still hunt you. You will lose control of your fate entirely. Keller felt the walls closing around his options. Both paths carried chains. Myra reached out, not to restrain but to offer. But if you stand with us, I can guard your freedom. I can prevent them from turning you into a tool. I can give you a life where you choose how you help, where you shape the mission, not suffer beneath it. Keller looked into her eyes. He saw no lies, only desperation, hope, responsibility, and something that felt like respect. Before he could answer, another explosion rocked the chamber. The door behind them glowed with the heat of cutting tools. Myra grabbed his hand. Keller, choose now. The chamber shook again as the metal door bent inward. Sparks burst across the room like falling stars as the Dominion cutting tools bit deeper into the steel. Keller stood frozen, caught between fear and rising certainty. Myra held his hand tightly. Her eyes locked on his. Her voice filled the small room with urgency. Keller, if they break through, we cannot outrun them. You must choose your path before the door falls. Another blast echoed through the walls. Panels flickered. Dust drifted in thin lines from the ceiling. The Dominion soldiers were close now, closer than ever. Keller took a long, slow breath. In that single breath, he saw everything that had brought him here. The manipulation, the secrecy, the fear. But he also saw Myra stepping in front of guards. Myra risking her rank. Myra fighting her own officers. Myra trying again and again to protect him. Even when the Empire pushed her toward cruelty, he realized something. She was the only reason he was not already chained to a lab. She was the only reason he still had space to think and choose. Keller stepped forward, his voice steady. I will not let the Dominion use me, and I will not let humanity fall. I will help you. But on one condition. My choice must remain mine. My freedom must stand beside your mission. Myra stared at him for a breath. Hope lit her face like sunrise after endless night. You have my word. Keller, your choice will guide the future. Not the Council, not the Dominion, only youth. Door gave a final scream of metal. A red line cut across it as Dominion soldiers pushed through. Myra pulled Keller toward a lift hidden behind the tactical display. The door slid open with a soft groan, and they stepped inside. The lift shot upward just as the chamber exploded with enemy fire. Keller watched through the narrowing crack as armored silhouettes stormed the room, searching for him. The lift rose through a vertical shaft lined with flickering lights. Myra pressed her hand to a control panel, her breath coming fast. Now they are tracking your biosignature. We must reach the core shield. Once inside, they cannot scan you. Only then can we plan our next move. Keller nodded. He felt fear still, but it no longer controlled him. Now he held a purpose, a direction, a choice. Made from truth, not force. The lift doors opened to reveal a circular chamber surrounding a glowing column of energy. Blue-white light flowed downward in powerful streams. The core shield pulsed like the beating heart of the station. Myra guided him to the center platform. The shield will hide you, but activating it will draw attention. We may have only moments before they reach us. Footsteps echoed in the corridor outside, heavy, many growing closer. Keller stepped onto the platform. A wind of energy swirled around him, lifting strands of his hair. The shield reacted to his presence as if it recognized him, as if it had been waiting for him. Myra activated the sequence. Light rose around Keller, like a protective storm forming walls of shifting brilliance. The air vibrated with deep resonant power outside the chamber. Dominion soldiers clashed with human defenders. Energy blasts roared. Shouts echoed. Metal rang with impacts. The entire corridor became a battlefield. Myra stood just beyond the mirror shield, her gaze fixed on him. Keller, once the shield seals, I cannot reach you until the station is secure. But you will be safe. No force in the galaxy can break through this energy. Keller reached out, though he could not touch her through the rising field of light. Myra, when this battle ends, we speak again. not as commander and subject, but as allies standing on equal ground. Her lips formed a quiet, determined smile. Yes, as allies. A massive explosion rocked the hallway, and Dominion troops surged forward. Mira drew her weapon and turned to face them. Shield your pulse, Keller. I will hold them. The shield sealed with a soft humming roar. Light surrounded him, safe, hidden, untouchable. Through the glowing barrier, Keller watched Mira stand firm against overwhelming force. Human soldiers rallied behind her. Their voices carried the fierce cry of a species refusing extinction. For the first time, Keller understood the truth of humanity. Their strength was not in their bodies, but in their will. The battle raged. The shield pulsed. Keller closed his eyes and whispered a promise to himself. I will fight for my future and for theirs. When the last echoes faded and the battlefield fell silent, the shield continued to glow around him, a symbol of choice, a cause phasa, symbol of survival, a symbol of a future he would now help shape. The mission had changed. The Empire had changed. Keller had changed. The next chapter of the galaxy would begin with him.